Hello, I'm Mary Petersen, and I am a volunteer with the Santa Clarita chapter of the American Cancer Society. And in celebration of June, National Cancer Survivors Month, we are honoring cancer survivors in our local community. And today we are pleased to have with us Joel Spunt. Thank you, Joel, for joining us today. Well, first, Joel, I wanted to congratulate you because I know that this weekend marks your 13th anniversary surviving testicular cancer.
Thank you.
That's fabulous. Wonderful news. We're so happy for you.
Thank you.
You are a cancer survivor, but you have dealt with health difficulties since birth. Can you tell us a little about your diagnosis and your life even before you were diagnosed with cancer?
I was born with spina bifida, 1984. At the age of 23, I was diagnosed with stage 4 testicular cancer, which my diagnosing doctor at the time described it as stage 5 because of the severity of it. And that's...
Yeah. What about your life even before you were diagnosed with cancer? You've been in a wheelchair.
Correct.
Your whole life.
Correct.
And how was it going to school and just living life?
There were some challenges. When I was born, the doctors at that time, they didn't know too much about spina bifida. It had been around, but they basically told my parents, we can basically try to do what we can, or just basically see how it turns out. My parents obviously opted to do the surgery, which is closing of the back. Spina bifida has an opened wound at the base of the back. I was born with clubbed feet, so they had to make that correction. And they put in what's called a VP shunt in the back of the head. It drains the cerebral spinal fluid from the brain and eliminates it.
Yes.
So that they typically say that you have to have it revised every 2 years. I ended up going 22 years without it being revised. And then once I did get it revised the first time, it didn't necessarily take. So within the next probably 3 months, I had to have back-to-back surgeries once a month to correct it. And I think that was maybe 2011. And I've been okay with that since. With that side.
With that part, yeah. So you were 23 when
Correct.
you were diagnosed with stage 4, or as your doctor said, stage 5, testicular cancer. And your cancer treatment was arduous. You had surgery, and then you had 3 rounds of chemo. You stayed at UCLA Hospital for a week, taking chemo 5 days in a row, and then returned home for 2 weeks.
Correct.
And then back to the hospital, and you did that for 7 months.
7 weeks.
7 weeks.
Correct. I believe it was over 7 weeks. I could be wrong, but
Okay.
it was 3 rounds of chemo.
Yes, it was 3 rounds of chemo. Okay. Yeah, the math would be, I don't know. I don't want to do the math right now. Anyway, your veins collapsed once.
Yes.
Your ports became infected more than once.
Correct.
You were allergic to medications and had to continue changing them until you found one that you didn't react to.
Multiple times.
What was going through your mind through this whole ordeal?
Quite honestly, I didn't really know what to think. It was all new territory to me, you know. I didn't really know of anybody very close to me that was dealing with anything even remotely similar. And it was basically just from one day to the next, I had to completely switch my life and learn all different types of things, you know, and learn about certain situations that I might be facing.
Yes.
So it was quite difficult.
Yeah. You have faced near-death challenges at your young age. You had an infection from a wound in your leg and faced sepsis.
Correct.
You had a blood clot in your leg, which broke off and entered your lung. Thank
Both
goodness.
my lungs, yes.
Both of your lungs. You had seizures, perhaps as a result of dehydration after chemo.
According to the doctors, yes.
Yeah. And the shunt or stunt?
Shunt.
And the shunt, which relieved the drainage in your brain, may have placed pressure on your optic nerve and caused you to lose over 90% of vision in your left eye. At each juncture of these grueling challenges, what got you through? What coping skills did you develop?
You know, it's kind of difficult. It was because I was so young and not knowing what I was facing. Having the friends and family support, but also not really having the knowledge of what was going on. I just kind of took it day by day and learned as I went and knew that my only option was to fight it as best I could. Surprisingly, it was easier at times than at other times. Mm-hmm. Specifically in the beginning. It was quite easy, actually, for me in the beginning. But towards the end is when everything kind of caught up to me and basically took over.
Yeah.
So,
you were very close to your father.
Yes.
And near the time of his death from cancer, you were wearing a wristband which said Spunt Strong.
Spunt Strong.
Spunt Strong. You removed it from your wrist and placed it on his. What was significant about that to you? And what did the wristband mean to you and your family?
The morning of his passing, for some reason, something came over me that I needed to kind of pass it on to him. And a little side note, he came home on a hospice for 2 weeks, and he was too weak to make it upstairs to his bedroom. So we had to have a hospital bed set up downstairs, which is where my bedroom is. And I would stay up with him. He had trouble breathing whenever he would lay down, from, I guess, just the cancer taking over and having a lot of toll on his body. So he was having trouble breathing whenever he would lay down. And so at night, when everybody would go to bed, I would stay up with him overnight until somebody woke up in the next morning to watch him. And that went on for probably a week, or 2 weeks, actually. 2 weeks straight. And the morning of his passing, very early in the morning, something just came over me that I just needed to pass my Spunt Strong bracelet that my family made for me when I was going through cancer onto him, and just basically let him know that it was okay, if he wanted to just let go. And I did that, and for some reason I decided to take a picture of it, and that was that afternoon. He ended up passing away, and that was my last photo with him.
Such a touching story.
Yeah,
Very
it was
touching.
it was very tough.
Yeah. There is a lot of strength in your family, isn't there?
There is. We've been through many challenges.
Yes.
From all different types of things. A lot having to do with me, but also with other family members and going through things that they've gone through. And so,
So that's very meaningful, the Spunt Strong.
Yes. Yeah. It was, I don't know what came over me and what made me have to do it, but I'm glad that I did.
Yeah.
It was my last moment with him.
Yes. You mentioned that you often felt lonely and isolated during your treatment. No one your age knew what you were going through, and it was really hard to talk about it or explain it to them. Do you think this feeling is common for young cancer patients? And when you felt really down, what helped you to get through it?
I think it might be pretty common, really, for anybody, but maybe more so younger. You don't really know, like I stated previously, you don't really know, what you're facing. I don't think anybody really does.
No.
When they're faced with such a thing. But for younger people, for me, it was just trying to figure out what's next. Going through it, I had the family and friend support. I had people come and visit me when they could, a little difficult being, 30, 40 minutes away, for people to come and see me, but they did when they could. And, just having that connection and keeping positive, which is something that I've always said. I've always told people, even when I'm coming across somebody that I just meet that is going through cancer, I always make sure to tell them that positivity is absolutely key.
Yes.
Because that's what I believe truly helped me face and overcome a lot of the situations that I was in. It sounds simple, but it's really not. When you're going through such hard times, it's very difficult to see positivity and see, any type of good.
Yeah.
But I've always tried to have a good sense of humor. I've always tried to make other people laugh. I've always tried to, just be upbeat and happy. And I believe that's what truly helped me get through it.
Yeah. That's really good advice. You are on the Relay for Life event leadership team. And what has that meant for you? This is an important position. What have you learned about being a leader, and what do you feel you contribute to the cause of fighting cancer?
To me, it was a very important decision that I decided to make, to join, because not only because of my situation, but because of my father's, because of close family and friends that have gone through the same situation, and my community. I wanted to be able to do something that was meaningful and something that I knew very well.
Yes.
And just try to help as best I can. I don't know what I actually give to the ELT myself, but
you are a contributor.
I do try. I do try. I'm very quiet. I do keep to myself a lot, but more on a one-on-one situation, I try to help out as best I can. A lot of people were trying to get me to join. Other members, they were trying to get me to join because of my unique situation, being in a wheelchair, and what I could possibly give to our events, from that perspective. So I've tried to do the best that I can, providing what I haven't had the chance to yet with all the things going on recently, but I'm still trying to work on for the future, providing wheelchairs for people at our events that have difficulties getting around. I know personally I have a lot of difficulty getting around from our events. So I'm just trying to figure out ways to get around that and provide it, and provide ways for other people to come out and enjoy our events.
Yeah, it's really important work.
I hope so.
Well, you are an inspiration, and as your wristband says, you are stunt strong. My daughter is a stunt woman. I keep spunt and stunt. What advice would you give to young people who are going through really trying times, like health challenges or feeling alone or down? How can they gain the kind of strength that you have?
I just talk to people. Talk to anybody you can. Don't be afraid to reach out to friends, to family, to local organizations that are dealing with what they're dealing with. I've always found that communication helps a lot. It's very easy to keep things inside. A lot of people don't like to share. A lot of people don't like to necessarily burden maybe others. But for me, I believe that just communication can go a very long way.
Yes.
No matter younger or older, it's being able to talk to somebody, whether they know what you're dealing with or not. I believe it helps a lot.
Yeah.
And of course, somebody who may know what they're dealing with. But I believe that it's a lot easier to deal with and cope with things if you have somebody that you can reach out to.
Right. Yes, I think that's very important and really good advice. Well, thank you, Joel,
Thank you for having me.
sharing your story, for helping us to understand how you overcome challenges, how you, maintain strength, and thank you for your contributions to Relay for Life and the American Cancer Society, and really putting yourself out there to be a leader. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for joining us, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you.